Just arrived from Concord, North Carolina, to just east of Charlotte, to bring you my newest addition to our collection and to haul away my white W180. My new to me 1959 Mercedes-Benz 220S, a W180 Ponton. I can hear the fuel pump. First started easy enough. Of course, it's cold. It came off the choke, I'm sure. Brake lights work. So we will get this thing in the auto house. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ken's Show and Tell on this lovely April 1st, 2025. This is my latest acquisition. I've always wanted a Ponton model. This one happens to be a 1959 W180, a 220S, the last of the Ponton iteration. This video is basically, you're going to be discovering at the same time with me. I've driven this car since I acquired it, less than a month ago, a total of 2 miles. And I tell you what, it was shifting horribly. The brakes were sticking. The brake pedal was pretty much going to the floor. And the engine just sounds like it's got a lot of loose valves. In other words, valve clearance issues. All the rubber in this car is brand new. In other words, it hasn't been used or seen the light of day, and consequently I believe that accounts for the hard door shutting. The shut lines and the fender fitting, the body panel lines, all look very good. Even the fender welts and stuff look really nice, and see how fresh the rubber is around the windows. So I know that the cosmetics on a car, that would include rust, repair, paint, interior restoration, is the most expensive part of these cars. I've always wanted a Ponton to kind of complete my collection because my 63 W111 is a direct replacement for this. Now this is not fuel injected. It's got 2 Solex carburetors. Interior smells very nice. This is vinyl. It's not leather, which actually is all right with me. Lovely wool headliner, or at least a material that looks a lot like wool. There are details to this car I'm going to sort out on the interior as well as mechanically. One thing are these incorrect screws you find all over the car on the inside. There's one right here. These are just regular old wood screws and they're incorrect. And in some places they've actually cracked the wood. But you can see, look at the rubber, that the expensive work has been done on this car. I'll show you what I mean about the door. See, what I would expect it's got a, I know it has a different latching mechanism than the W111s, or the 108s and 109s and 114s, 115s, and the W123s. Everything is dry on this car, so nothing's been lubricated. Let me show you what I mean. I should expect it to shut like this. Oh, and it did. All right. I've been messing around with it, so maybe it loosened it up some. I'll still lubricate it some. Everything swings very nicely. Now, obviously, one of the major things I need to do in here is get rid of this god-awful aftermarket radio that a lot of people seem to love to do to these old cars. And I'm hoping to find a blanking plate that will fit right in that hole. Otherwise, I've got to find an entire piece of wood here to replace all of this. But maybe if I pull this out, I can find a blanking plate that will sit here, and maybe it will look okay. The clock is not working. I can't, as far as I can tell, I don't think many of these light switches and things like that, I don't know, the headlights come on and on, but I haven't had a chance to really figure that out. I do know that the speedometer and the odometers are not working, and the temperature gauge is not working. But I discovered why that speedometer appeared to not be working, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. And one of the things I love about these things, just like with the W111s, this is not veneer. It's a solid plank, and that's just lovely. I'll probably get some cocoa mats and kind of set this off in here. Although this German weave carpet is nice, it's just kind of old and gotten stained. And the seat belts were put in, oh, I believe at the time of the restoration, the restoration. The color looks good. They're kind of a universal type of seat belt. I might pull those and see if I can find something nicer, but then again, they're okay for now. Also, all of the beautiful little shiny bits here are showing evidence of sitting for a long. See, that's loose. That just needs to be glued back. Sitting for a long time. There's a little pitting showing up on some of this stuff. But you know, Brasso and other kinds of metal polish will get that right off, and all those little bits will just shine. See, like up here, this light, that needs to be polished, and I can do that, and this light's not working. Now, I haven't had a chance to investigate fuses and that sort of thing. Yeah, check the closing on this door. Again, beautiful rubber. All the hard work's been done. All the real expensive work. Now see, it should have just shut. Now it's shut a little better, so just have to work on it. This paint is very nice. I love the color. Here, let me let this down here. You can kind of see down the hood. All this right here has been redone. And I can tell you that the gentleman who owned this car, he acquired it. The car spent its life, as far as I can tell, in North Carolina. And the gentleman who acquired this car, that I ended up buying it from, he bought it in 1971 for $330, and it was a mess. And so he drove it, tried to drive it. He's not mechanically inclined, so he had people do work for him. It came with copious records, which are invaluable. The records that it came with go back to when this gentleman purchased this car in '71, and it went through extensive mechanical and metal types of work 3 times. So I know these, it looks like you used to have a hood pad, but that's gone. So I need to do that. There's just things to it that I need to do. Here's the two twin Solex progressive linkage carburetors. Now this is a 2.2 liter 6-cylinder overhead valve. I think it was rated at about 105 horsepower as opposed to my 63 220, same size engine, different compression, different cams, and it's fuel injected, putting out about 124 horsepower. I got to figure all this stuff out that I'm not familiar with, like this brake booster and different things on this car. It still has the mechanical ignition with the points and the rotor and the condenser in here. And when it was delivered to me, it barely ran. It was coughing and sputtering and backfiring. And so I took off the distributor cap, cleaned off the corrosion that was in there just from it sitting. You can see there's corrosion right here from just sitting. And once I cleaned all that up, she fired right up and runs like a champ. It just has lots of valve clatter. So I'll get in there and figure that out as time allows. Just all kinds of interesting valves and things in here. And that it's just different in this firewall right here. See how it separates everything? And which makes me wonder, how the hell do you get the battery out of there? I guess the answer is with difficulty. You have to really kind of drag it out. I have read that many owners, or I should say some owners, actually take the hood off to give them more access to work when you're doing such things as valve adjustments and that kind of stuff. Because you can see, relative to the W111s and the 108s I'm familiar with, and especially the 123, that hood barely opens. So it limits access. Let's see what it looks like underneath. All right, let's start at the rear and work our way forward. And, you know, the car was supplied with some photographs prior to me purchasing it, of course. It looks like some sort of vent that's been plugged off. I'll need to look and see what in the world that is. It might be some sort of drain, I don't know. I'll work with that later. Vulnerable spot here. It's very solid. Now, this wheel barely turns, so that could be part of what's going on here. So I'm going to pull these wheels off today because I get them ready for the new tires. And look at these. I'll take off these flexible lines, but I might try to just go ahead and flush the brakes first. I am going to flush the entire brake system. Take this off. Look at these drums in here and just see what they're like. But you can see the car just looks like it's been sitting for a long time. It's got a new exhaust system on it, which is very helpful. This fuel tank, it has fuel in it, so no evidence of any leaking. This is nice and solid here. This drain hole is still open. You can see where it was, this is just dirt, mud. Someone took it out on a dirt road. Look at that. Well, that'll wash off. Or maybe it was across a dirty parking lot. You can see the metal looks good. Little dent here. Paint off of here. Fresh wiring. At least here towards the end. There's another, looks like some sort of a vent hose right here coming off of the fuel filler area. Let's move a little bit further back. Here's your swing axle, CV joint boot. Right here looks very nice. This all back here is dry. Of course, I don't know when the last time this thing was serviced, but when you look at, I'll show you, when you look at the grease nipples, they are dry. I'll have to make sure that's clear. Up here, this vent for the differential, it turns, which is good, but when I get into it, I'll do that. This is not leaking. You got a grease nipple here for the back of this pivot point and for the front of this pivot point here on the swing axle. And then you have a grease nipple here for this part of the universal joint in the back. Here's a little bit of very old oil. Not worried about that. Yeah, things turn. So off this differential, here's your drain plug. Here's your check the level plug. So what I'll do is I'll see if I can get this out first, and if that's fine, then I'll take this out and drain it all. I love the way the prop shaft is protected up here in the body. And here's your sliding joint right here for the back of the differential, back of the drive shaft. And here's a grease nipple here. See how dry these grease nipples are? And all around it. See the mild corrosion on these cables just from sitting. So that wouldn't hurt to grease those up. Okay. Fuel lines. Here's a brake juncture right here. Look, it even has a bleeder. I believe that's a bleeder for that. Interesting. Yeah, there's no. Of course, I'll have to check and make sure all of this seatbelt anchor points. Check the tightness of all these screws. Now we move up towards the engine, and here's the back of the transmission. And there is oil coming out the back here. And I can't tell at this point if that's motor oil or transmission. See, it looks like motor oil. But if you look up here, let me turn this. This flex disc should be replaced. It's torn. Oh, where'd I? Oh, right here. It's torn right here. See? But I'll have to look at that with greater detail. Now you can see it. I probably see this better. See how it's torn? See the cord in there? I know that should be replaced. But again, look how dry this grease nipple is right here. Yeah. Now this spring has something to do with the clutch return. I suppose it hooks up there. I have to do some reading and figure out what's going on here. All this is new to me. It may go up there, I don't know. These mounts for the transmission look all right. I mean, the whole thing's not rocking and rolling and shaking or anything when I take it out. Now, I did find one thing. It just is kind of sloppy. See this up here? Let's see if I can get it. I stuffed it up out of the way so I could get to it. This cable, this one. Remember I mentioned the speedometer and the odometers don't work? Ta-da! Look at this. Not connected to the transmission. So the next thing I'm going to, and this has been laying on the exhaust pipe right here. And you see it's melted through, but the sheath is still intact. And what I'll have to do is put this on a drill and slowly turn it and see if the speedometer works in there. But I'm gonna leave that dangling to remind me. So that was a chuckle when I found that. I just have to figure out where it's supposed to go. And it's just a matter of reading and investigating further. But it's very interesting under here. It's very primitive compared to the W111s and 108s and especially the 103s. I mean the 123. Look, you have all these grease points here. Now this is your clutch pivot mechanism here. Here's the clutch right here, clutch pedal, and here's the clutch cylinder, master cylinder. Look, it's weeping, so that's going to have to be replaced or rebuilt. I assume it's clutch because it goes up there to a reservoir right up there in the top. You can't see it, but it goes up there as like a bottle, a metal bottle up there holding it. Again, old, just been sitting up a long time. Okay. Look at these pedals. You know, let's see. I'll have to figure this out because there's two pedals here. Looks like, or maybe one, I don't know. I'll have to figure out what all this is about. It has to do with either the clutch or the brakes right here. Okay, so this goes down to the transmission. So this goes through this member here. This is all clutch. Interesting. All right. You know, I was looking at the codes that come with the car, and the codes suggest that this car at one time might have had a hydraulic transmission. Now it's a regular 4-speed on the column. Huh. All right, here's our tires that came with the car. 2006 is the date code on them. This is the exact same tire I was able to buy new, sitting down there on a 13-inch rim. And you see, this hasn't received attention in a long time, even though the rubber looks good right here. This old hard grease all over. So I think it might have been serviced, God, 10 years ago and then just put up. See how dry this is? Oil filter housing. Just really interesting. Lots of grease points down here for the steering. I'll have to discover where they all are. And the kingpin arrangement, similar to the W108. Yeah, up here. I tell you what, all this car is showing to me is just neglect, misuse, not misuse. I didn't mean to use that word. Not used. The car has not been used. And so this is what a car that looks like. It's been cosmetically restored and some mechanical work that's been sitting up for a long time. I think this is pretty cool. This looks like the bottom of the radiator right here. It is. There's a petcock you turn, and here's your drain. I think that's great. Tow hook. Lovely chrome, just dirty. Beautiful, beautiful Bosch driving lights with the lovely lenses on them. Just gorgeous. Nice looking radiator with some stains on it. I'll need to investigate that. The fuel gauge works and the oil pressure gauge works, but the temperature gauge does not. So I'm sure that's a broken capillary, and what a pain that is to try to fix. I might try to locate an NOS one or a good used one, I don't know. They have to be a certain shape in order to fit in that lovely instrument cluster. See, this turns fine. I've already wiggled everything, you know, all this suspension and steering and the bearings seem to be very tight. I mean, in terms of not having any wobble. Okay, well, that's the introduction to my newest acquisition to add to the fleet. And what I did was, it hasn't been sold yet, but the dealer that I bought this car from has my white 71 280 SE down there, and it's being sold by them. So anyway, Autobarn Classic is where this car came from, and where my white one is sitting down there for sale. Anyway, this is going to be another learning curve for me, and I'm looking forward to getting in this car and taking care of. I know it's going to need a massive service, so that's what I'm going to do. So the first thing though are new tires, and then while I'm waiting for those to be mounted and balanced, I'll take the tires and the wheels in. I won't take the car in to the tire place. Learned my lesson there many years ago. Anyway, thank you very much for watching Ken's Show and Tell.